Broncos country, welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. What's on slate this evening? Well, let's talk about the freshman class that's coming in versus the sophomore class. The class that came in last year, how would you rank them against each other? Plus, we've started getting it. NFL's top 100 list. Zach Allen comes in at number 90. What other Broncos should be on that list? We got to get your thoughts, your ideas, your comments. This is the Denver Bronco Roundup powered by BWO. We're going to get started, right about now. Well, hello. Welcome into the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. We were just here 2 nights ago, made up for a 4th of July by coming in on Sunday. Had a fantastic conversation and one that was really piloted by the Rocket Man, as he had some fantastic ideas and some fantastic thoughts and what we should be talking about. We're going to go a different direction this evening. My name is Keith Brugman. I'm going to go around the horn and just say hello to the rest of the hosts. We'll start at the top and go over to Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick.
Good
Kenny,
evening,
how you
everyone.
doing, buddy?
Doing great, Keith. Jody, good to see you guys, my fellow horsemen. Good to see everybody in the posse. 4th of July is over. My vacation's almost over, but, what better way to finish a vacation before going back to work than with the Denver Bronco Roundup and the members of the posse and my fellow horsemen. So welcome, everyone. Let's have a great show. I think we got a fun one for everybody.
Got a great one lined up, man. And in walks the judge, Jody Moncrief, man. Bottom of the screen, coming in. Looking fantastic this evening, man. I love the get up, the hat, the background. We're ready to rock and roll. Let's go, buddy.
What's up, everyone? Looking forward to a good show tonight. Got a good show lined up.
I think we do. And we got the posse all lined up, ready to go. Paul's coming in over on YouTube saying hello to everybody. Ernie Mays also coming in saying hello, Keith and friends, and go Broncos country only. He's rocking that 13-4-0 and beyond, man. I'm going to give it to him, man. Got to give it to him, man. He's the first one calling it out. Love to get some ideas, some thoughts, some predictions as well. Victor coming in saying orange and blue time to crush it, man. Let's crush it, Victor. Good to have you aboard, man. I promise no Josie Jewel talk in this episode, and we'll continue on from there. I want to say hello and to Mr. Adam and Kayla. Adam coming in saying, darn it, it's 10 p.m. in Florida. Laugh out loud. And that's right, because Adam and Kayla decided to pick up and move, heading out to Florida, taking on a new adventure, man. And congratulations to you guys. If anybody is in need of a trailer home, I know of a good one. Adam and Kayla has one ready to go, man. Paul's also coming in with the 13-4-0. Graham's coming in and saying, hey, y'all. And Adam, Kayla, love you too. Love the show. Kenny Kirkpatrick is the man who I'm going to turn to start, because just like our last episode when we went a little special on Sunday and it was really kind of guided by Trevor, Kenny's always good about saying, hey, Keith, the owner of Denver Bronco Roundup and Rocky Mountain Sports Network, but not always the brains. Kenny comes up with so many great ideas. He's got the topic that's going to get us kicked off this evening, and I think it's a fun one. It's an intriguing one, especially in this off season where we have a little more downtime.
Thank you, Keith. We have some downtime, like you said. Got a couple weeks before training camp officially starts, so you kind of think of some ideas. And I had this idea, school's out, but let's go with the rookie class of the Broncos. We're going to call the freshman class. Last year's draft class is going to be the sophomore class, and I want to see overall, not just one player, overall from first first round picks to the seventh round picks, who we think is going to have a bigger impact as a whole. And we'll start with the first round picks. We'll as we go along, you'll see how we're going to play this. And don't give us our answers until the very end, but we're going to have individual answers if that makes sense on each round. And I'll keep a score and tally on which rounds were better. So last year's class did not have a second round pick, but we did have what looks like our franchise quarterback in Bo Nix. Keith, and I'll start with you. So Bo Nix versus this last draft's first round pick and second round pick. Who do you think will have the bigger impact? Is it Bo Nix or Barron and Harvey as a combined tandem there?
So you got Jade Barron and RJ Harvey versus Bo Nix. This, honestly, when you brought this topic up, let's face it. I'm going to go just a little bit off topic, Kenny, for just a second.
Sure.
It all relies on Bo Nix, right? You go out there and, like you said in your opening, you get out there in what you believe could be your franchise quarterback. 100%. You're looking for this to be your franchise quarterback. Remember, and I know this is close to your heart, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick, Daniel Jones was in contention for the Pro Bowl year one as a New York Giant, right?
Yes.
Where is Daniel Jones today?
Out there in Indianapolis.
Maybe get an opportunity down in Indianapolis, right? It all depends on Bo Nix. All of this entire, if you're going one class versus another, it all depends on Bo Nix. So now you're asking me to compare Bo Nix's first year in the league versus RJ Harvey and Jade Barron's potential. I'm gonna go maybe against the grain. I'm gonna go with the numbers. I'm gonna go with the 2 versus 1. I'll go Jade Barron versus RJ Harvey. I have an opportunity. If we're talking about one of the best running backs in the class, maybe one of the best cornerbacks in the class, I feel like I have a good opportunity that I could hit on one or both, or hopefully not neither, but at least I got better odds there. Bo Nix is going to be a franchise quarterback, I have no doubt, but man, the odds just aren't in my favor to go ahead and go with it. I'm going to go with, I guess I'm going to go with the rookie class.
I love the out of the box, going with the rookie class in the first and second rounds, as opposed to last year's Bo Nix being the first round and second round, if you would say. So I'll go to Jody. We'll see what Jody's going to say.
For me, it's Bo Nix, and this is a pretty good one. I've said for a while, I think he is a dark horse candidate to be in the MVP race. I look for a big year. If you prorate his numbers from the Panthers game on, I mean, he was a top 8 quarterback in the NFL, and I expect him to come out firing. I mean, that is cliche when you hear Sean Payton saying that's what they expect. They don't expect the opposite. So, I think Bo Nix, I expect him to solidify himself as a top 5 quarterback this year.
Great. So we're split down the middle. I'm going to lean with Jody barely in this one. And I mean by the smallest of margins, because I love what Keith said. Give me the 2 for 1. And it would be, if it was any other position but the quarterback, I would have went with the 2 for 1. So by the smallest of margins, I'm going to give it to the sophomore class as well in the first 2 rounds. Again, they didn't have a pick last year, so we're considering Bo Nix a first and second round pick in this, this little segment we're doing here. We got Phil McLaughlin checking in, Keith. I want to get with the 100 stars. We're back to stars. On Sunday, it was fireworks. 4th of July is over, so we're back to the stars. Good to see you, Phil. You say, good evening, Keith, Judge, and Kenny. I got to say, Bo has to be my pick. So,
yeah, I feel like I'm in the minority here. I'm taking. Can I throw this back around? Can we have a little bit more conversation on this? What potential? I'll go with Jody first on this one. Do you think that RJ Harvey, I'll just go RJ Harvey with you, has the ability to be a top 5 running back this year in the league?
I'm going to say almost 0, and not because I don't think that he can be. I think it's because of the crowded backfield back there. I think J.K. Dobbins may be your week 1 starter, and if he produces like he did last year for the Chargers, I think you're going to see split time there. So can he get there? I think eventually, but right out of the gates, I don't think so. And I don't think RJ Harvey can produce without Bo Nix producing. We've seen it the other way around. We've seen Bo Nix produce without a running game. So I think it's going to be almost impossible for the running back to produce without a quarterback and a top quarterback.
I'll go to Kenny. Jahdae Barron. What possibility do you think that he has to be a difference maker, a corner that can be part of this elite defense and possibly be mentioned in Pro Bowl and All Pro, even at his position in year 1? Do you think that's a possibility?
It is, but here's the take. I think the defense is going to be so good that Jahdae Barron's name is just going to be lost in the shuffle, because you're going to hear Bonito, you're going to hear Greenlaw, you're going to hear PS2, of course, Zach Allen. I think he's going to add to that defense, but he's not going to stand out. And that Bo Nix, I feel, can stand out this year.
Okay. Well, then I got to defend myself, because that did not go as planned. I look at RJ Harvey and I think what he has and what he brings, and maybe we all need to just go back and watch a little bit more of what he did when he was down at UCF. I think that he looks different than any other running back. I think that he's going to be dynamic. I think he'll have the ability to take over games at time. And because of that, Sean Payton won't have a choice, even if he wants to do a rotation or whatever have you, get away from the running game. On the other side of things, I think Jahdae Barron is getting added to an absolute elite defense. And if they play their cards right, Jahdae Barron, with his eyes in the backfield, is going to be an interception king, an interception god when it comes to taking the football field for the Denver Broncos, in my opinion. If those two things come true, that's where I see the potential of possibly RJ Harvey and Jahdae Barron now going up against Bo Nix, who I also think is going to be an absolute stud and is going to carry this team like he did most of last year. But now I got 2 for 1. If one slips, I still got the other one producing. I just feel like RJ Harvey, I was on board with him from the very beginning. Jahdae Barron, the more I watched him, adding to what we already have. Oh my goodness. This is a fantastic topic, Kenny, because I think, these three gentlemen, we talked about cornerstones, potential players for this Denver Bronco team. We might be looking at 3 of them right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you know what, Keith? It's if it was Bo Nix versus Jahdae Barron, then it's going to be lopsided. So the 2, it's like I said, for me, it's the closest of margins, but I'm going to give the nod just to Bo Nix. But again, all 3 of these guys are going to be difference makers this year if the Broncos are to go deep in the playoffs and potentially a future Super Bowl. So it's going to be, a lot of, not, I don't want to say pressure, but there's going to be a lot of people counting on these guys, are Barron and Harvey, in year 1 to succeed early in their careers.
I got to get just a few comments before we get to the next one, just really quick, and then I promise I'll let you guys in because, boy, oh boy. We're blowing up this evening, gentlemen. I want to get to Albert Knopper's. Bo Nix is going to beat all the QBs from this draft last year's draft, and even a lot from all the veteran QBs that are in the league. Thank you, Albert Knoppers, man. He's all on board with Bo Nix as well. He's on board. Miranda Mary. If you don't know BWO and Miranda F. Mary, man, they're getting it done for us. Broncos World Order saying hashtags getting it done, looking
Salute,
beautiful.
Miranda.
Yeah, big old salute out to you and BWO, and thank you all for supporting us as we support you and we go forward in this fantastic adventure we've paired together with. Big E Bronco just saying good evening to everyone as well. I got to give a big shout out to Big E Bronco. And just want to make sure Pearl's in there saying hello, and to everybody. We'll talk a little bit more about Pearl, but I know that the judge wanted to weigh in. Just one more idea, one more thought on this as well. I think I cut you off, sir.
No, you're good. Do you think it matters for Jahdae Barron if he plays outside, if he starts outside, or if he's more in the slot? What kind of impact he has? And where do you think he will play?
I think he's going to start in the slot. I think he'll start in the slot. I think that, I don't want to wish bad on anything, but if there's any competition, let's just put it that way, between him and Riley Moss, when they go to a 2 cornerback rather than a 3 cornerback alignment, I think that he could get some touches there as well, and he would do well there. But I think Jaleel McLaughlin, Jaquan McMillan. I'm sorry. Jaquan McMillan is that's where his I always get those two mixed up. Jaquan McMillan, that's where his competition is going to be at, and that's the two that are going to be fighting there in the slot.
Real quick, Keith, I'm going to answer Albert's question real quick. He's saying, Kenny, how many years into the future you think the Broncos will win a Super Bowl? Albert, I'm going to say 2 years would be my best guess, but don't count them out this year. And 10 years from now, let's hope they're winning a bunch of Super Bowls. So 2 years would be my top choice, but don't count them out this year. They're going to be considered one of the top. I'll have them as one of the top 4 teams in the AFC this year. So they'll be in the hunt for it this year as well. Defense wins championships. And if the Broncos have the best defense in the league this year, good chance of getting there this year.
There you go, man. Well, I guess we've only made it through round 1, and I don't know how much more we're going to get to on this. I
think we'll be able to move a little faster on the other ones, Keith. That was a good one. I thought that was going to be a little lopsided, but everybody had great points in the sophomore class. Really, the freshman class really did well in that first round. So very impressed with that first round by the freshmen. Keith's points and a couple other people like the sophomores. So I think the sophomores have a tiny slight edge right now. But here's where it's going to get a little closer, I think. And I'll go to Jody first on this one. Jonah Ellis, last year's 3rd round pick, or this year's 3rd round pick, Pat Bryant. Who's going to have a bigger impact, Jody?
I think Pat Bryant. I think Denver drafted him to groom him to be the replacement for Courtland Sutton. He's not the fastest wide receiver, but he is exactly what Sean Payton wants. Big body, goes over the middle, catches with his hands. Was a captain. I think he had 3 or 4 game-winning catches last year. That's exactly what Sean Payton's looking for. He's already compared him to Michael Thomas. So I think I look for big things for Pat Bryant.
Great. And Keith Michael Ronquillo is checking in saying, good evening, Keith, Jody, and Kenny. Go Bo Broncos with 100 stars. Everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo. Michael, we're doing freshman versus sophomore right now. We're on you can give us your round 1. Who would you take? Bo Nix, bigger impact, or the combination of Jahdae Barron and RJ Harvey? And then we're on round 3 right now. Jonah Ellis versus Pat Bryant. And I'm going to go to Keith for his answer on it.
Yeah, I like what Pearl says here. Pearl, thanks for checking in, says Ellis will only improve. I like him a lot. I like Jonah Ellis too, but the problem right now is just what we kind of talked about in this stacked defense. If you're going to talk about guys like Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper right off the bat as guys that you need to try to, get into a rotation with, I think you're fighting an uphill battle. Now, at the same time, I don't think you're much better with Pat Bryant. I mean, let's face it. We all just We know that Cortland Sutton's going to be that number one. We just brought in Evan Ingram. And a lot of people would say he's going to be more in the slot than he's ever going to be lined up tight. Then you got Devon Vele, who's taken big strides from a 7th-round draft pick. But even if you look at Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant's not got an easy path here either. And I guess when we start getting it now into the 3rd round, you do got to start seeing, how do you get there? How do you maneuver in order to be a difference maker, especially on, as I love Miranda was saying just a little bit earlier, maybe I'll throw that comment up here in a second. We're stacked, we're deep. It's tough to get to the field. But I'll have to go Pat Bryant as well. I like what he brings, and I like the type of athlete that he is, and I think that he shows something maybe a little bit different that's not on the field with the rest of the athletes that we see take the field at wide receiver, comparatively to Jonah Ellis, where I don't know if there's anything really dynamic and different that you get out of Jonah Ellis compared to the guys that are in front of him.
Yeah, you guys bring up great points. And if this was maybe freshman versus junior year, and maybe next year Jonah Ellis gets a chance, assuming John Franklin Myers isn't back, and a couple other players, you might finally get a chance. But this is close because, like you just said, Troy Franklin, Devon Vele is there battling with Pat Bryant. But if I had to pick, I think Pat Bryant's got a better chance of beating those wide receivers out for a starter or a backup role, as Jonah Ellis has a big hill to climb being the backup to Nick Bonito. So I'll go Pat Bryant as well. But again, very closer than you think. But I'll go with the freshman here. So the freshmen get this one, I think, because I saw a couple people, I think, playing along, put your answers in there. But I think, but like Phil's saying, possibility Bryant could replace Sutton in the future. We'll give this one to the freshman class. So we got one for the sophomore class, one for the freshman class as we go to round 4, which I'm
going to take a pause for just a second because I do want to take Phil's, and we can make this rapid fire real quick. How many years before, because I will go to Jody first, you're the one who mentioned Pat Bryant taking over for Cortland Sutton. When does that happen? Does that happen next year, the year after? When do you see that potentially working its way out, since you brought it up? And then, Kenny, do you think that's a possibility, and when?
Yep. You want me to go first? Or
I'll go Jody and then Kenny.
Okay.
I think 2 years. I think Sutton has another big year, and I expect him to be back for one more year, and then after that, I think it's time for Pat Bryant.
Very good. I'll go with Mr. Kenny. Your thoughts on this altogether?
I'm going to slightly disagree with Jody, and it's a good reason to disagree. 3 wide receivers drafted in the last 2 rounds, 4 or last 2 years, 4 in the last 3 years if you count Mims. You got these guys developing. They're going to take over. Pat Bryant could take over as soon as next year, in my opinion.
Now that, in my opinion, could all change depending on how much Cortland Sutton wants and where Denver goes with this contract. Do they meet in the middle somewhere, or does Cortland Sutton, lean on his numbers and go get another big payday somewhere?
A lot of people thinking maybe this year, maybe next year. Albert saying Bryant could replace Sutton by the end of this year. Michael James also coming in and saying this year. I think I'll try to get the entire posse on my side. The next year or two, when we win a Super Bowl, then he can go ahead, and he's going to go ahead and move on at that point. He'll get his Super Bowl, and he'll possibly retire in a year or two, and then call it good. Just ride out on top, like John Elway, right off into the sunset. I just wanted to take that. Go ahead and move on to round 4, sir.
Sure, no problem. Back to Keith. Last year's sophomore, Troy Franklin moved up to get him, versus this year's 4th round freshman, Savion Jones. The sophomore Troy Franklin versus Savion Jones, Keith.
Oh, man. This is tough, man. Everything you've heard from Troy Franklin so far, this offseason, training camp, mini camp, or not mini, obviously training camp, that's right around the corner. Hope to be there. all the little OTAs and everything that we've heard, Troy Franklin, it sounds like he's starting to maybe turn the corner and looking better than he did last year, which is what he would need if I was going to go ahead and I was going to rank him above Savion Jones, because Savion Jones has come in and kind of turned some heads right off the bat as well. Man, an elite defense with Savion Jones in the rotation, possibly taking over for a John Franklin Myers or a DJ Jones in the future. I'm going to go Savion Jones on this one, man. I just like what he brings. I'm going to go Savion Jones, and I'll probably be on the wrong side of this with everybody else.
Graham's got Franklin in a landslide, and Michael's going nobody. Pearl's saying that's hard. It is a hard one. I'll go to Jody.
I'm going to go Troy Franklin, and more because I think John Franklin Myers is going to have a big year, which will keep Savion Jones off the field. I don't know what we get from Troy Franklin. I've said before, I think he's probably your biggest boom bust. And if he booms, this will be a top 5 elite offense. So I'm going to go Troy Franklin. I'm
with Jody and everything. He stole my thunder because I expect a big year from John Franklin Myers. And Keith, I'm going to plug our webpage, our Hot Take Thursdays. You could check us out on RMSN's fan page on Facebook. We do hot takes. A couple weeks ago, I said John Franklin Myers 10+ sacks this year, which will be 2.5 more than his career, which was 7.5 last year. So I'm expecting a big year from him. Savion Jones isn't going to see much time. Troy Franklin will get a little more time, so I'm going to give it to the sophomore class here. I see a couple other people going Troy Franklin. Albert's with you though, Keith, saying Savion Jones. I think we got a 3-4 to 2 vote for the sophomores in this 4th round. So very close so far between the sophomores and freshmen, with a couple rounds left. I think we can breeze through. Let's do 5 and let's do 5, and then I know we got our break coming up, and we could do 6 and 7 as a combination, so we can get to the other segment we have tonight.
Oh, no worries, man. I don't mind having the conversation. I did want to just answer Phil maybe really quick. Is how much money are we paying Sutton? Currently, we're going to pay him about $20 million this year. He says, and that will determine when Bryant takes over. So I think that's really about the contract that he potentially gets and when he gets it, and what that looks like. And you're absolutely right, Phil. If they come out with a 5-year contract with him tomorrow, that's completely different than a 2-year with a out after 1 that they sign him up to get him maybe up to par on dollars, I guess you could say, in the NFL, and get him in happy. You know what I mean? To playing this NFL season. It's really going to depend on what they pay and how they pay him. And I absolutely agree. But I digress. I want to get on to 4 and 5 as well, sir.
Did you want to take the intermission break, or are we going to do this round first?
Let's do this round. I'll roll into the amazing things that Pearl has to talk to us about.
So we're up to the 5th round and back to Jody. And this is an interesting one. You got Chris Abrams-Drain versus Q Robinson, the freshman Q Robinson, the sophomore Chris Abrams-Drain. Jody.
I'm going to go Q Robinson. I think he's going to be a core special teams guy. I like Chris Abrams-Drain, but I think he's going to be buried on the depth chart. I mean, drafting Jahdae Barron didn't help him. He's probably cornerback number 5 right now. I don't think Q Robinson will produce that much on defense, but I look for a big impact on special teams.
Very well said. Keith, you agree with Jody? You're going to go the other way.
So Q Robinson and I'm sorry, who was the other one?
Chris Abrams-Drain.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
5th round. Yep.
I hate to be just like in stride, but I'm going to probably go Q Robinson as well. I like what he does, and he does have that opportunity on special teams as well. Abrams-Drain, I liked what he did when he hit the field for the Broncos, and I didn't think he got a fair shake, quite honestly, to go out there and prove what he has on the field. He's a long, lengthy guy who's sticky to the wide receiver, and doesn't let a whole lot in when it comes into dropping a pass into coverage.
Yeah.
But he's behind a lot of guys. And I've even heard Damari Mathis is making a little bit of a splash, and we haven't talked about that name in seems like 2 years. So, I mean, if you're going to get all wound up about this cornerback room and then get Chris Abrams-Draine in the conversation, that's tough for me. So, yeah, I'm going to go Q Robinson. I'll go Q, and I think that once again, pass rushers could go after it.
I see a couple people agreeing with Jody and now Keith, and I think I'm going to clean sweep this one, but it's not a landslide because Chris Abrams-Draine, like you said, Jody and Keith, he did some good things when he had the opportunity. He's just in a numbers game, and when you're in a numbers game, I think Q Robinson's going to definitely be more of an impact with being the special teamer that he is. So I think you're going to see more from him than you're going to see from Chris Abrams-Draine. That reason, I'm going to agree with you guys.
Yeah, getting more sweeps coming in as Jody was agreed on by Roy Orbison, and then we had Phil coming in saying Robinson as well. Pearl coming in, agree on Robinson. So Q's getting a lot of love over Abrams-Draine right here. So
6th round, I know we can do this quick, Keith. I'll go to Jody first. This is an interesting one. We got Devon Vele, who was came out of nowhere last year as the number 2 wide receiver pretty much for the Broncos versus the punter that was taken in the only punter taken in this draft, Jeremy Crawshaw. Who's going to have a bigger impact, Jody? Vele or Crawshaw?
I think Vele. I think he will solidify himself as the number 2 wide receiver this year. From all reports, until he missed the last part of OTAs, it sounded like he was bigger, and he just looked like he came in and sounded like he was getting all the run with the ones. So I'm going to go Devon Vele.
Nice. Keith, you agreeing?
No, I'm not going to agree. With all the wide receivers that we just got done talking about, Troy Franklin looking better, Marvin Mims better take that step, Cortland Sutton, Evan Ingram into the mix. We want to have a receiving running back, Devon Vele. Hopefully he can make contributions when needed and when called upon, but I'm not looking for him to be the big contributor between the two. Now, Kenny, I don't know about you, but I've heard ladies like love the hang time. And that's what Crawshaw's got, man. He's got the hang time, baby. And, this is going to potentially be, and I don't think Broncos country have seen this. Honestly, I forget the first name, King, the punter that came in. He was a former Raider, came over, had a huge leg. Everyone was excited. Marquez King. Thank you. The judge comes in with the answer. Marquez King came in, and there was a lot of buzz about what he might be able to potentially do. Now, that being said, that fizzled out for one reason or another. But you just took the only punter in the draft. You took him to be a difference maker. And it's one phase of the game that gets overlooked. Let's get the punter out there and let's give him some love. I'm going to go Crawshaw.
Love it. And I agree with Keith. You guys know when they drafted him, I said Matt Hack is not going to be your punter. What did they do? A few weeks after the draft, they released Matt Hack. He has to be the difference, and he's going to be an added weapon for the defense. Pinning opposing offenses inside the red zone is going to make this defense that much stronger. It has to be Jeremy Crawshaw in this situation, only because Vele's in a numbers game and going to be competing for some time. Crawshaw's got no competition. He's got the starting job already. He's going to have a bigger impact. Last one, Keith, I'll do it real quick.
Yes.
Seventh round, Caleb Lohner, the freshman, last year's pick, Nick Gargulo. Go to Keith first.
Oh, my goodness. Boy, it's all about potential, I guess, when you get referred to as a potential, references to a Jimmy Graham. I'll go Caleb Lohner, man. Let's face it, a lot of basketball players turn tight ends have worked out. Hasn't always worked out, but the guy shows certainly ability and potential. And if he gets in there and he works his butt off, I think that he has the ability to be in there and be a huge red zone threat. And being a red zone threat and pulling in 4 or 5 touchdowns this year, I think that could easily swing what you could get out of a backup guard tackle on this offensive line, knock on wood, that's going to be very healthy.
Love it. Jody.
I'm going to go Caleb Lohner, and I'm going to base that off of when Sean Payton called him on draft night and asked him, have you heard of Jimmy Graham? He said no, and he said, look him up because I'm going to turn you into that guy. So, I mean, he sees Jimmy Graham all over him. So I expect Peyton said that right away. I expect that to come true.
Yeah, and I'm with you guys with Caleb Lohner. He's going to have one of – if I'm the offensive coordinator, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm setting a couple end zone plays for him with his size and get me 6-7 catches with 4 or 5 touchdowns, Caleb, and you'll be an impact player on this team, and that's all I need from you. And maybe block a kick or two at your height, an extra point or two. So give me Caleb. A lot of people going Caleb in the chat. Keith,
it's a clean sweep, buddy. That's what it is.
Here. And I think with that clean sweep, I think the freshman class took it. I want to say like a 5-2, 4-3 for a lot of people for the freshman class beating the sophomore class. So, but very close, and that's going to be good if the freshman class comes in and takes over and contributes right down the line. This Bronco team is going to be even more ahead of schedule this year. And as we were ahead of schedule last year, this year might just be Super Bowl. Let's go.
Kenny, I got to say this, though. As you put this forth, and I'll be honest, I kind of looked at draft picks in the whole 9 yards, and I'm kind of looking back and forth. I didn't realize how difficult this really would be to kind of go back and forth, even though, like you said, maybe it's 6-2, 5-3, in favor of this freshman class that we think that could be potentially, uplifting this Denver Broncos team, adding depth and, pushing them to beyond what they did last year, the first round playoff loss, right? It was very difficult. It was very difficult to go through there and say, hey, if I'm matching up these guys against these guys, this guy against this guy, who is the better potential candidate? I think it really, really shows, I guess, more than anything, if I learned a lesson from this little skit that we've put together, right? Sean Payton, George Payton, they could be potentially putting together one of the best rosters in the NFL over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback off that for a sec? How impressive do you think it is over the last 2 years eating the amount of money they have with Russell Wilson?
Just another added piece to this entire puzzle, right? How we're competing, what we're doing. Kenny, I'll let you answer that because I took a long rambling soliloquy there. So now it's you.
I think coaching all around, defense, was excellent last year, and they played great defense, and they did things with the rookie quarterback to not put him in situations where he would make a lot of mistakes. And I think that's what really helped. And you beat the teams you should have beaten, and you even upset some teams you weren't supposed to beat. So way ahead of schedule, stay ahead of schedule this year, could be a Super Bowl berth.
Love it, Kenny. Love the idea of just being a champion. And you can also be a champion if you're looking for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, or Estate Gold at wholesale prices. And that's by contacting Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets was once a nationwide company, coast to coast, getting you taken care of. Now they're just in your backyard. They've been doing it for over 34 years, but now they hang out in northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, giving you Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Estate Gold at wholesale prices. If there's a show, if there's any type of fairground activity, if there's a gem show, dog show, I guarantee the Pearl's going to be there. In fact, Cheyenne Days are all lined up. So if you're all set to go to Cheyenne Days, please check out Morgan Trinkets. But don't despair. It's not the only place you can find Morgan Trinkets. You can head on over to Etsy, type in Morgan Trinkets Co., And there you are. You're finding all those amazing treasures that I just mentioned, as well as silver, sterling silver, 100% sterling silver as well. Any orders over on Etsy over $50 are shipped absolutely free, and all major credit cards are accepted. Please check out Morgan Trinkets. They've been a fantastic sponsor of us. You guys have been a fantastic supporter of Morgan Trinkets. They'll be out at Cheyenne Days. They're always over there on Etsy, and we'd love to hear all the amazing treasures that you get from Morgan Trinkets. More amazing treasures are coming our way as Broncos fans, gentlemen, though, because NFL is starting to roll out their top 100 list, and they rolled out their first 10, and lo and behold, bam, sitting there at number 90. Though he wears number 99, that'd be Mr. Zach Allen comes in representing the Denver Broncos right off the bat. I'll just get with your reaction, Kenny. How do you feel about Zach Allen at number 90 getting recognition right off the bat? Get Jody's thoughts as well. And then we're going to get in the meat of the topic and everybody jump in. How many other Broncos and what other Broncos should be in the top 100? That's really where we want to get. But what are your thoughts on Zach Allen to get us started, buddy?
Well deserved. He had to be in the top 100, all pro. I thought maybe his stock is rising. I think he's a little better than that 90 ranking, but when they do these votes, like the first timers, you don't see them up in the 50s and 60s. It's usually further back. So defensive end, well deserved. Big reason Jody just asked, with the Broncos' success. Huge reason the Broncos had success, not only on defense, but as a team, was Zach Allen. So he had to be there. I'm happy he's there. He's one of my, as a Giant fan and not a Bronco fan, he is one of my favorite Broncos that I enjoy watching. So congratulations on being named one of the top 100, Zach Allen.
A well-deserved number, selects him to the top 100. And Kenny's fine with him at number 90. He knows that he potentially could move up in the years ahead. But Jody, your thoughts on Zach Allen, his nomination getting in as one of the first 10, 90 through 10. He takes number 90.
I think it's too low, and I think it really comes down to PFF likes to, bash his run, how he plays against the run. They rank him very low in that. Which I definitely don't agree with. But he is in the top 100. I'm glad to see that. It's well-deserved, but I think it's too low.
I love it, man. Because, I'll be honest, when I went out and I saw Zach Allen at training camp a couple of years ago, he came in. The look in his eye was the closest I could compare it to is what I've seen from Brian Cushing back in the day. This guy is like 100% football, and you can just tell it. He's locked in. He's saying hello to you, and he's thinking about how he can get better on that last play at scrimmage. It's in the back of his mind. He's 100% football all the time. I think it'll continue to show, and hopefully it proves out to the larger media, NFL pundits across, because I agree. I think he's deserving of a top 100, but I don't think number 90 is near high enough. Would have liked to seen a little bit better ranking for Zach Allen, but I'll give him his due. He made it, and he deserves it. I want to get this from Zach coming in over on Facebook. He says, "Thank God we gave VJ a chance again, so he can coach a top 10 defense." Or
can a coach be in the top 100?
Can a coach be in the top 100? I'm sorry, I'm like reading not even words that are even there. What do you, Kenny? I'll throw that to you, man. How much do you think that a guy like VJ deserves in some of these maybe defensive rankings that we want to put in the top 100?
I don't think a coach should be in the top 100. Maybe a separate poll where you have coaches and you rank the coaches 1 through 100.
Ooh.
Not just the head coaches, but coordinators. You throw them in the top 100 or even a top 50, and you see VJ would be in there for sure.
Kenny, we're marking it right here. I don't know, timestamp it 44:36 in the episode. That is one of the best ideas I think that I've heard in a while. Ranking the coaches all the way across the board in a top 100, coaches and coordinators. I'm stamping that because that's just an idea of gold. I don't know if I've seen anything like that, and if there is something, I'll go and I'll research it. But that's a great one, buddy. Just really quick, Jody, VJ's influence on the Denver Broncos defense, deserving of recognition of getting these guys into the top 100.
I think it's definitely deserving. I mean, you had a lot of no-name guys last year on this D, I would say, and they produced. I mean, you led the NFL in sacks and by a large margin. Not with what I would say is an elite pass rusher at the time.
Yeah, fair enough.
And
fair enough.
Real quick, Keith, Phil's saying 32 defense, 32 offensive coaches, top 10 question mark. And that's with 100 stars. So thank you, Phil, once again.
Love it, Phil. Love it, man. Yeah, 32 offense, 32 defense. That's your coordinators. And then if you put in 32 head coaches, you know, you can start getting into a top 100 pretty easy. You got right there, you've got 96 coaches just in that alone. So, you know, you almost got your top 100. I don't know. We throw in 4 special team coaches that deserve recognition.
My idea was, though, if you have a team that's 0-17, you know they got no coaches in the top 100. So you can get your coordinators and coaches. It's not like the Major League Baseball where somebody's got to be represented. My idea is get the top 100 coaches. From 100 to 1, we do a countdown.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. You know, we did get our tight end coach stolen to the Chicago Bears this last off season. So just let you know. Let's go ahead. I
79 stars, Keith. Amanda Nye.
Well, that's my sister. So thank you, Amanda. I just have to say my brother Keith is the best. Love you, big brother. Love you too, Amanda. Thanks for the stars, and almost hit my birth year with those 79 stars. That close. Appreciate it, Amanda. Jody, I'm gonna head on over to you though, man. Let's start naming off some other Broncos that are gonna be in this top 100. Need to be in there. I saw one from Michael Ronquillo a little bit earlier. We can obviously hit on, but where do you want to start, my friend?
We could start with PS2. I mean, he's the pretty obvious one.
Yeah.
You know, defensive player of the year. There's really not much to say. I mean, he's the best cornerback in football. If you look at the list of wide receivers he covered last year and the amount of yards he didn't allow, it's pretty impressive. If he can do that again, I mean, he's got a pretty stacked set of wide receivers he's going to go up against this year. So maybe he repeats if he can do the same thing he did last year.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Chase or if it's Devontae. He's ranked out pretty well almost all the way across the board, given a few more enough snaps. Where do you think, I just really quickly, where do you think he's going to drop in this top 100? You said he's the number 1 corner. Some people say he's one of the 2 top corners. I'll go with number 1 as well. But where do you think that puts him overall?
I think he should be top 10, if not fringe top 5.
Kenny Kirkpatrick, man. Agreement on PS2, but I want to get your ranking, I imagine. Imagine you're in agreement.
I did my rankings on these guys I got in the top 100. So Jody went PS2. I got him ranked number 7. We're going to see how close I am when the weeks come up and they do their top. Right in there, like Jody said, top 10, fringe top 5. I got him number 7. He's my number 2 defensive player on my board. Myles Garrett's slightly ahead of him at number 6, and then it's 5 offensive players before that. So 34 tackles last year, 4 interceptions with a pick 6. Nobody's throwing at him. Lockdown corner. He's got to be top 10. Hopefully he's around that 7 range where I got him.
Phil McLaughlin got another name. I know they probably mistyped just a little bit, but Garrett Bowles is his next nomination. I'll go to Kenny. Kenny, you said you got your list all prepared. Do you have Garrett Bowles on your list?
I did have him in there, and I got him right next to Zach Allen, 89. You know, that the offense, he was a big reason why the offensive line was successful last year. And I'm going to go Garrett Bowles right there at 89. We're going to see when the next 10 come out if he's in that 80 to 89 range. And I'm going to have him right there at 89, and well-deserved in the top 100.
Very good, very good. Garrett Bowles, does he make the judge's list, and where does he come in your opinion, Judge?
I think he should be in probably the 80 range. I don't know if he makes the list, but in my opinion, he should. He's very underrated. The days of Garrett holds and how many holding calls he's going to get and that type of stuff is well over with. Did he have a lot of false starts and things last year? He did, but for 2 years now, he shut Myles Garrett down, who Kenny said is the best defensive player in football. 0 sacks allowed. So, and that one game was with Russ back there, who holds the ball forever. So, he's definitely very underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, underrated, but I'll say this, man. He's been getting a lot of praise as a top 10 left tackle for the last few years. He's, gotten his due, gotten away from that Garrett Bowles. When it comes to Pete Prisco, he ranks him number 74 in his top 100. I think he's going to come in that 60 to 70 range overall. I think that Garrett Bowles gets a little bit of respect this year and rises up the ranks a lot higher than Kenny had him. I'm just kidding, Kenny. I love your list as well, buddy. But yeah, I think that Garrett Bowles, there's not a whole lot of left tackles out there to kind of look at and hold up high. When you start talking about premium positions, left tackle is one of them. I think he might make it in that, 65, 66 type of realm. Kenny, I'm going to keep it rolling around the same way because I like the way you're going with your list. Where do you want to go next, buddy?
I got another offensive lineman, and this one's going to be closer down the line. I got Quinn Miners all the way down at 38. First team All-Pro last year, played 1,088 snaps, only had 4 penalties. You want to talk about big reasons why Bo Nix stayed healthy for 17 games? This is the guy right here. This guy is, and his stock is even, it's going to stay about the same because when you're offensive lineman, I don't think he's going to get too much higher than 38, in the years to come, but maybe he can get up to the 30 range, but no, nothing to be ashamed with if my prediction comes right at 38. Plays all the time. He's workhorse, anchor of the team, captain of that offensive lineman. Quinn Miners will be an All-Pro again this year and for many years to come.
Very good, man. Coming in strong on the belly, man. Where are you going at, Jody, with Quinn Miners? Makes the list, and where do you think he lands up? Lands up.
I'll agree with Kenny. I think will be in the top 30. I mean, if he is not the best guard in football, he's top 2. He's great in the run game. Great. Allowed 0 sacks last year. I mean, for where Denver drafted him and the small college he came out of, I mean, Denver hit a grand slam picking him.
Yeah, I look at I agree. Don't think we'll get near the respect though. Just because if you look at where Quinn Miners was, I think Quinn Miners hit the top 100 last year. If he did, I think it was right at the end. Don't quote me on that, but all of a sudden for him to land at 38, I just think is a little bit too high. I'm going to put him at like the 54ish, about 10 better than what we just saw from Garrett Bowles. I'll move him up the list, but to make a big splash on the list all the way up into the 30s, I'm just not sold on. Just from a national perspective, I'm sold on personally, but that's a different. I got to take a segue though. Michael Ronquillo, before we get out of here, has a fantastic topic that I think we need to hit. I'll go to Jody first since we've brought up a different idea and a different kind of topic, I guess you could say as well. Michael Ronquillo says Bo Nix will not make it onto the top 100, and quarterback Jaden Daniels will make it onto the top 100. Agree? Disagree? Is that right? Is that wrong? I'll go to Jody the judge first.
I'll agree with that because if you look at a lot of lists, Bo Nix still is not getting a ton of respect. And, I've asked a lot of people what is it that Jaden Daniels does so much better than Bo Nix? From, like I've said, from the Panthers game on, I don't really see anything that he does better. So I don't know. I don't think Bo Nix will make the list, but I don't think that Jaden Daniels is light years ahead of him, like a lot of people think.
Very good. I got to get Kenny's perspective as well, man. Bo Nix does not make the top 100. Jaden Daniels does make the top 100, says the Ronk, Mr. Ronquillo. Do you agree, disagree, and is that right?
I'm going to disagree with Michael and Jody, and this is one I really hope I'm right on. I think Bo Nix does make the top 100. Anywhere, ceiling being 70, floor being 80. I think it's going to be in that range. You look at you just said Jaden Daniels, the defense wins championships, but quarterback, you found the franchise quarterback. Quarterback is what got you to the playoffs on the offensive side of the ball. And the Broncos wouldn't have been where they were without Bo Nix last year. So I think people are going to see that and put him in the top 100 respectfully, with a chance to improve as the years go along. But I think he cracks the top 100 in that 80-ish range.
I like it, man. I hope you're right, man. I'm going to agree completely with Michael Ronquillo. I think that it's going to be a left out year for Bo Nix and a left, get in for Jaden Daniels. I think it's not right. I think that these guys are a lot closer in competition, and to judge one in, one out, especially based on their first year, I don't believe that's quite right. I think that time will prove out that Bo Nix might be the better quarterback between the two, just from, if nothing else, a health standpoint, as much as I love Jaden Daniels coming out. Kenny, I'll start with you. Let's get one more, if you have one on your list that you want to get out before we get out of here, and then we'll get final thoughts. I'll go to Jody and then myself. Final thoughts will be last.
I only have one more, and it's one that I think that should be worth mentioning, Nick Bonito. And I got him around 52. 13 and a half sacks last year, a pick six, 2 forced fumbles. It's going to be, unfortunately, a popularity contest where you're going to have the Myles Garretts in the top 10. Bonito can easily be in that 20 to 30 range with the year he had last year. But I think because of the name, when you talk about the NFL top 100, it's a popularity contest, unfortunately. And I think Nick Bonito is going to fall victim to that. So I'm going to have him around 52 in my rankings. And congratulations being in the top, just missing the top 50, but being in the top 100.
Congratulations to Nick Bonito making the list for Kenny. Any other players that you want to hit on, Jody, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm going to throw one name out. I think Brandon Jones makes the top 100. I mean, he was from PFF numbers and stuff, he was a top 5 safety last year. That was a home run signing by Denver. The way he was hurt in Miami, came here and played 15, started 15 games. He was great back there, solidified some stuff in the secondary on a cheap deal too. So I think Brandon Jones cracks the top 100.
Well, gentlemen, you stole all my thunder. You took every single player that I had in the top 100. I was hoping to steal maybe a Brandon Jones in there, but doesn't make it. I will say this. Guys to look forward to next year, being a Denver Bronco, named to the top 100. I'm going to go ahead and throw Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga out there as potentials that make it next year. Obviously, not going to make it this year, but their impact on this roster, Phil's asking Mims. Quick one from me. I'll just go really quick. Mims, great special teamer. I don't think there's going to put enough weight on that in order to get him into the top 100, and he doesn't produce enough as a wide receiver, in my opinion, on his own merit. Kenny, Mims?
Maybe 2 years from now, if they start using him more as a wide receiver, yes. But this year coming up, I think he's still going to miss the top 100.
And the judge coming in on Mims.
I don't think he makes it, but he very well. He should. If you think special teams is an important part, like a lot of people do, he's been all pro the last 2 years there. So
true. Which was the days gone by where you saw a lot more kick returns and touchdowns and stuff like that. But Mims is doing what he can with what he can. Just don't think it's enough. All right, gentlemen, we need to get some final thoughts in. We're right up against the hour. I'll start with the judge, man. Final thoughts as we wrap up this Tuesday evening episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast.
Great show again. We're one day closer to training camp. Like I said before, I'm excited about this year. We've got all the pieces to make a deep run. If Bo Nix doesn't have that sophomore slump, I don't see a team out there that's light years better than us, and I expect us to compete. And I can see us, going a long way, and I'm excited for that.
Awesome, man. Awesome hanging with you, Judge. Appreciate all your insight on this evening. Great takes, as always. Got to get over to Kenny Kirkpatrick, though, and get some final thoughts from him.
This was such a fun show. It's always a fun show, but when we have the interaction and the posse playing along with us, it makes it that much more fun. And both of our segments tonight, the freshman versus sophomore and the Broncos in the top 100, not to be cliche, but it was a home run. Since it's baseball season, we'll say it was a home run tonight. So, football season, it's a touchdown, but it's baseball season. So 2 home runs back to back. Great job, everybody. And I'll see everyone next Tuesday. But the other guys will see you on Friday.
Well, for that being said, since we're going to be on a baseball run, I'll just say, honestly, the posse, they took it to us and to this episode like the Astros did to the Dodgers, man. How about that, Jody? No, thank you, everybody. Fantastic episode. Kenny, the judge, honestly, the posse who makes this engine run. BWO, thank you for powering us this evening. We go live every Tuesday, every Friday, 8 p.m. is what we're going to be doing, Mountain Standard Time from here on out. And you never know when we drop in an extra episode. We went live this last Sunday. If you missed it, you missed out. But one way you can make sure that you don't miss out, you like, you share, you subscribe, you make sure you hit those notification buttons. And that way you never miss out on all the great things we've done. We've had like 3 Super Bowl champions on our show. You don't want to miss out on that. And if you did, go back, check it out on YouTube. We implore you. That being said, we got to get out of here. I can't wait to check out or check in with y'all again on Friday. But I guess we got to check out now. So one more,
Keith. We got 100 more stars from Phil saying thank you guys for coming up with the great questions.
Thanks to Kenny for coming up with all the great
everybody
questions.
Came up with them though, Phil. It was a group
Kenny,
effort.
take your bow.
No,
We're getting out of here,
I only
man.
had the first part. Everybody else put equal effort. Equal effort always, Phil. Thank you. I
equal effort,
that,
but we're gonna ride off into the sunset. I guess with our silhouettes to the back. We're gonna get out of here this way. Make sure you keep your boots in the stirrups, guns in your holsters, and of course, the Denver Broncos in your heart. Until next time, we're out of here. Have a fantastic evening, everybody.